it's the reactions, right? That people have
really,
that people have an issue with. It's not that your feelings are wrong. Your feelings don't be wrong. Your feelings are not wrong. The feelings are valid. Yeah. But if you respond to, like when you chose to respond or behave or react to the anger in a way that wasn't maybe conducive or appropriate for the situation, then that part is wrong.
Welcome back to the Run It Back Podcast, the podcast where you come for the entertainment, stay for the sports. This is a podcast for the culture, and I'm one of your hosts, Percy.
I'm BOBBYBANDZZZ.
We don't have any of the usual family in the room today.
You know, people got to work.
You know. But at the desk, I'm going to say it again. If you are listening to the audio, please go to YouTube. Leave me a comment and say thank you for telling me to do such. At the desk, we have Brittany. You know, Brittany, I didn't ask you your last name.
My name is Brittany Rogers. You don't need my government, but I guess because I'm a professional, I got
professional.
That's my whole name, Brittany Rogers.
We got a Line alum in the building.
Period.
Make some noise, you know what I'm saying? We ain't a graduate, but we was with y'all sometimes.
Y'all right.
Claim it. We claim it every day of the week.
We definitely claim it. But yeah, we got Line alum in the building.
Welcome to the Run It Back Podcast.
Thank you guys for having me.
Appreciate you for coming out. It is a beautiful day today.
It's nice as hell.
It's a great day to talk about some women empowerment. And
every day is a great day to talk about women empowerment.
Yes,
let's be clear.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course, every day. But you're here now, so we could get you to talk about it. So you're a black therapist. A black female therapist, correct?
Yes.
You started your own. I would say.
Is it called a practice?
Practice, yeah.
So
service.
What I do is a little. It's not as like straightforward as that. Okay. So I work for a practice. It's not my practice. It's owned by a black woman. She was in business by herself for the last 10 years. She's been in the field for probably close to 25 years. When I was still working in community mental health, I was telling my aunt that like I was looking to start doing some private practice work on the side. And so I was telling her I didn't really care for my job at the time. And so randomly ran into them at the movies one day. She like, oh, this is my friend with the private practice. She's considering like bringing somebody on board. So long story short, I started working for her part-time.
This was already upon like graduating and everything?
Yeah, this is, again, I graduated with my master's degree in counseling psychology back in 2017. So this is like, me and her started working together in May of 2018. So I had been out for probably about 2 years before I stepped into that. I started working for her part-time. And then last February, another story for another time, I got fired. And so I lost my 9 to 5. I was still working part-time for her. And at this point, I had plans on going into private practice with her full-time in the next few months. Didn't happen that way. But after I got fired, it was just like, all right, send me who you got. And so I've been working with her ever since. But on the other side of that is I do have my own business, Be the Change Therapeutic Services. And so what that business consists of is all of the other services that I provide with my skill set, with my knowledge, that isn't therapy. So I do life coaching, I do couples mediation, I do group facilitation. You can book me to speak. All of these other areas in which I'm trying to have my foot in the door.
That's why I didn't put you in the box in the intro.
I do a little bit of everything. But no, I really started it because it was like a loophole for me for people who didn't have traditional A1 Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO insurance.
Right. So
I can still meet with you, help you through certain life problems without necessarily having to go that therapy route where you get charged $150 out of pocket. Now you can come see me for an hour for $60.
Nice. Okay.
So that's my way of meeting my community where they are.
Right.
Yes, I do get paid very nicely by Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO,
Right.
but I also make room in my schedule to be able to see people who want the help and are consistent and dedicated to that, and be able to charge them something affordable.
Right. Okay.
So how do you balance working with? You said you're working with that other practice now, and you're doing your side. How do you balance all that? Because it seems like, you know, it could get pretty busy at sometimes.
So everybody is under one schedule. I have so many slots that I have every week for the month, and so whether it's a therapy client, like I have you're my Tuesday at 2, you're my Wednesday at 3. So I have so many slots open. Whoever comes and gets those slots, whether it be a life coaching client or a therapy client, when it fills up, it fills up. You know,
you could be doing 4 different things in one day.
Because at this point, everything is online. Everything is telehealth. So it's not like I have to go to different locations, you know, or anything like that. Or I'm sitting in the office waiting on people to come to me. Like I kind of see people. My schedule is
more convenient now.
Yeah, it's definitely more convenient.
Nice.
2:00 on Tuesdays. Click the link, join the call, and get started.
Oh, pretty much. Okay. Yeah, they know. Top of the hour is either in your email or it's in your text messages, and we talk for 53 minutes, and that's about it.
Let me ask you about U of I Champaign. So when you first attended, did you know you wanted to be a therapist? Is that something you wanted to practice?
Yes, I knew that. I figured that out in high school, that people just kind of gravitated towards me and would tell me their problems. And then like with my friend group, I felt like, you know, I was like the glue. And so like, you know, and then I started seeing therapists on TV, you know, not just Dr. Phil, but like Teen Mom was out. I was watching Dr. Drew. I'm like, that's what I want to do. Like, I don't want, because so much of, I had briefly done research on the difference between a social worker, a psychiatrist, a therapist / counselor. So I wanted to figure out what my avenue was going to be and what made sense that I wouldn't have to necessarily get a doctorate for. Okay. And so, I kind of did that research, still wasn't very clear. It wasn't until I got to U of I that I learned the path that I would need to take. Okay. Because I know people have horror stories about the type of advisors they had in college. I had an awesome advisor. Once. He was really integral in telling me exactly what I needed to do to get to where I wanted to go. Because U of I is very research based. So going in there, I'm like, I think I would go online and look at like, what's the next programs after that? And they were all PhD programs and research based. I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to sit and like talk to people. So like, what do I need to do to do that? And he told me like, oh, well, you just get a master's in counseling and then you'd go get your license. And I was like, oh, that's it. Yeah, I just need a master's. And that set me up. Once
you kind of set yourself a goal from that point, right? Like
I knew the path. Yeah. It wasn't no more, okay, I'm not sure how I'm going to get there. And that's the thing is, like I said, you see psychiatrists in movies or whatever, or you know, therapists, and you don't really know how they get to do that. You know what I mean? So I kind of had to, like I said, start with the research piece, and then luckily I had somebody that told me like, oh yeah, you don't have to go that way. Like this is a straight shot. And once I knew that, when grad schools came around,
they gave you the cheat code, man.
Yeah, so it was laid out. It was laid out for me.
Did you find a job right after graduation? Was that something that you?
So I went straight to grad school after undergrad.
And at U of I?
No, I went to the Chicago School of Professional Psychology, in downtown Chicago. Okay. And so that was originally, I went into it thinking it would be a 2-year program. I didn't do it in 2. I did it in 3. And that was it was definitely for the best, not probably. It was for the best that things happened the way that they did, where I ended up having to do an extra year. So after I came out of grad school, I was in a very weird place that nobody talks about in my field, which is I had already known I had passed my first licensing exam the April before I graduated. Okay. I graduated in July. I knew that, but the thing is you can't get that. You can't apply for that license until your degree is conferred. So my degree isn't conferred until August. Yeah. I finally can submit my paperwork August, September. The state takes their sweet time going through your stuff. I didn't get my license until the end of February. Oh, wow. That was February 2018. So the issue is when you are in between, when you have a master's degree, but you don't have a license yet, even though you passed your license, you don't have it yet. Yeah. And so there aren't a lot of for jobs, you're either overqualified or underqualified. So the jobs that I was working when I was in grad school, when I was in my senior year of college and undergrad at like psych hospitals and stuff, as like a behavioral health technician with a master's degree, I was overqualified for those positions. But those were the only positions I could really get. But they knew your license is on the way. You're going to be gone in 3 to 6 months. Yeah. We shouldn't hire you. Yeah. And so the jobs that I wanted, I didn't have the license for yet. So I landed into this job, I think, and it took longer. I had probably started applying for jobs in the spring of that year, like February, March. I didn't secure anything until maybe the same month I graduated, like that July. Okay. Or even the beginning of August, I had finally got something. But it was a full-time position without being technically full-time. So I wasn't getting benefits. I wasn't getting PTO. It was good money. It was, it was convenient as far as location. So I'm like, all right, we'll ride this out, because at the time I wasn't 26 yet. I had a year until I turned 26. So I was like, okay, I'll ride this out, look for something else. And then, I'll go on from there. So that was pretty much post-grad, my first job.
That's tough.
Yeah, and nobody tells you that. Like, it's like, I think so many people, because in our last year of grad school, you do an internship. So many people get jobs from their internships. Mm-hmm. I wasn't working where my internship was. I had the personal choice. I had the intern supervisors from hell, and so I couldn't wait to get out of there. But so I just didn't. A lot of people, I don't think, have to deal with that as far as like being underqualified and overqualified at the same time.
Do you think people our age deal with that in other fields too, where it's like, because I feel like we were the beginning or middle of that generation that was told, go to college. And then now so many people got a degree and advanced degrees, and it's like,
is it becoming saturated now?
Saturated.
Yeah.
Have you experienced that, and any trauma with that with people?
I think that because of the way things are set up now, it's one of them. And I hate to say it like this, but it is one of them things where, like, once a bunch of black people start doing it, then it ain't as valuable anymore. You know what I mean? And so all of a sudden now we all have these degrees, and it's
now experiences.
Excuse my language. It's fucked us, because now these employers. They can say, "Oh, you need a master's degree for $40,000," because everybody else thinks that that's what we're all doing, because everybody has this. So like, we could do this to anybody.
And now bachelors are $15 an hour, $17 an hour.
It's sick. And in my field in particular, we are severely underpaid for the type of work that we do. We are not compensated the way that we need to. That's why so many therapists, they don't stay in community mental health or
practice themselves.
They go and do individual practices, because that's where the money is. I even was like, I'm not doing private practice until later on in life. And I saw why so many therapists did it, because without going that route with these companies, the next best you're gonna find is working for a hospital. They're gonna pay you well most of the time, and like the government, and maybe the state. But outside of that, like, it's sad.
Yeah, they
right.
really pay.
I worked in education for a while, especially in inner city, and trauma is something that we talked about a lot, and things like that. And seeing the social workers take that stuff home, is that something that you deal with, or is kind of something you've learned to maneuver?
So I get that question a lot. I feel like I'm able to compartmentalize my client stuff. That's not to say that I don't ever like sit and think about, you know, like, especially if somebody stops seeing me, like, I hope they okay. Or I hope that, you know, it's not that I don't have, or I don't feel, you know, empathy for them in the moment or whatever, if they're telling me something really heavy. But I think nobody else's stuff trumps your own stuff, right? So I had a family member come and like tell me something that traumatic that happened to them, and I hear about people's trauma all day. Right. That hurt me to my gut. Yeah. Right. Because it's different when it's personal. You know what I mean? It's different when it's personal. And so it's one thing when it's somebody else's stuff and it has no implications around you versus like the people that are closest to you. Right. It hits you differently. So I think I definitely do a better job at that now than when I first started out. I had to kind of learn how to hone my own emotional reactions, and that's just like tears, right? Yeah. But you're not supposed to be crying, but I don't care. Like if I have a moment with a client and they touches me, I'll cry with them. You know what I mean? And I don't make it. I
feel like they expect that too. Like,
and that's the thing.
Or appreciate it.
That's not what they teach us though. That's
unprofessional.
They tell us that that's us taking the moment. But I've had dramatic ass hugs with clients in tears because I'm a human. You know what I mean? So like I'm not this stoic person. But a part of it was early on in my career. I had to learn to not take things personally because I was working with teenage girls, and it's teenage girls with mental health issues, with trauma and abuse histories, and it's one of those things where one moment they love you their favorite staff, and I missed you, and then the next moment you a bitch, a cunt asshole, they throwing chairs and all this other stuff, and so
sound about right.
It's difficult. It was difficult for me back then because I'm like, oh my God, like I was so emotional about it.
How long did you work with them? I wasn't asking.
So that was my senior year at U of I. I was actually at
a high school.
It wasn't a high school. It was connected to the mental health hospital, but it's a residential program. So those girls, some of them girls were there for months, and they were there for extended periods of time. But yeah, I did that for about 6 months, and that was my first job in mental health.
Did you enjoy that, or?
I needed that. I knew that when I signed up for the job.
Taught you tough skin.
I only had like maybe 1 or 2 classes to take in my spring semester of my senior year, so I had nothing but time. So I'm like, let me go really work. See, like this is the closest I'm gonna get to working in this field at this point.
Yeah. You get your foot in the.
Let me see what I knew that I was like, if I do this and I'm okay with it, then it's meant for me to get my master's in this. If I do this and I hate it, I need to reevaluate what my next step is. And it was hard. It was hard ass work, but there were, it was laughs, it was tears, it was, you know what I mean? It was what I needed that as an introduction, because what that did for me is when I got to grad school, I had already seen so much. Yeah. Whereas a lot of my counterparts, they hadn't worked with the population yet. They're just ready to learn about it. But they hadn't been, in that space. And then right after I left there, I got a job at Chicago Lakeshore Hospital, which is on the up north on Lakeshore. And I worked there for a little bit throughout grad school, and they get a little bit of everything. I'm telling you, some of your uncles, cousins, brothers done probably been up and through Chicago Lakeshore Hospital, because that's what the police catch you acting erratic, they gonna pick you up and take you there. And that was I miss that work compared to private practice, because every day is different. You never know. You never know what's going to happen. You never know. Now, my clients now, they're pretty predictable. I know what I'm going to get from who. Yeah. It's very, it ain't boring.
Tuesday.
Right. Yeah. It's very predictable. Them, you just never know. You never know what you're gonna walk into when you go to work, and it's an entertainment value of that. Like, yes, these people need help, tough, but also, absolutely, yeah, especially when you in hospitals and people wilding out, and like you're taught to respond to codes. So like you basically hemming these people up as a team, getting them some booty juice. That's what they call it in the hospital. That medicine that knock you out, they gonna get the booty juice.
Booty juice.
You ask anybody that ever been to a mental health facility, they know about that booty juice. They gonna get the booty juice. They gonna go lay down, but. Yeah, it's definitely, you definitely have really tough days. And like I said, when I was working at the residential place with the girls, those girls are there for an extended period of time. So I'm only working with the same group of girls. So you build a different bond with your patients versus when you're at a hospital, then people are there for 3 to 5 to 7 days. They gone. You know, you're seeing new clients all the time. You don't really get a chance to build rapport. And so because of that, it was more emotional, not only with that being my first job in mental health, but it was more emotional because I had really built bonds with these girls. Like, you want to see them do better. You want to see them progress. And so it would be, you know, you would feel that little disappointment when somebody would wild out. And it's like, dang, we was working on that or whatever. Like, one time we had this girl, we would, depending on how they behaved, they would get certain marks that would allow them to move up levels or move down, which would give them certain privileges and freedoms or whatever. And so one girl, we had a NA meeting that would take place at the hospital across the street. And so usually a staff would walk them over. If they had a certain level to be able to leave and do that, this was a privilege for them to be able to go and attend these meetings. And so we would walk them over, and one time we went back and the girl, she had ran away. Oh, shit. Yeah, she had ran away. Never saw that coming, you know, because of course some of them don't like being there, but they also understand that...
We got Reef in the building.
They also understand that, like, they need it, but I just never saw that coming. Again, like, from the time I left, I never knew what happened to that girl. So it's tough when stuff like that happens because you just never know. Like,
have you ever, like, been caught in a relationship where you keep up after, or is it something that's frowned upon? Like, you know, you got one of those girls that you worked with for X amount of time, she calls you here and there, give you, I'm doing great, you know, one of those kind of...
I don't have too many of those, and I think it's just because I'm still, compared to like other people, I'm still early in my field. You know, I've been in mental health for 6 years now. And so I will say the last place that I worked, sometimes the girls would leave and they would want to, like, you know, get your email or something like that. So I've done that, and I've had just one client at this point follow up, and actually 2, but I haven't heard from the other one for a while. But I did have one follow up, and I had left the company then, but she was like, I found your email in my notebook, and I just wanted to let you know that I was still I'm still sober, I'm in school. And so you know, it's appropriate when you keep boundaries, you keep it short, okay, I'm, you know, thank you so much for updating me.
With us. I ran into one of my students at the laundromat. Hey, coach, what's up? I'm high as hell too. I'm sitting there folding clothes. I'm thinking I'm having me a nice Sunday. Okay. He pull up. Damn. Living it up. We start talking about other kids and, you know, just catching up. But he done graduated. He's working, and, you know, he's doing good. His family's doing good. But that's great that some people still reach out. I feel like they're proud of what they're accomplished, you know, even when it's small like that.
Yeah. In those spaces, it's important, because those are, again, when we talk about levels of care, private practice is like the lowest level. That's outpatient. The work I was doing, that's higher levels of care. That's inpatient. That's residential, where people go and stay and things like that. So they're really at their lowest of lows when they get to that level of care. And so those are like the success stories that you really want to hear.
Do you, just from, you know, practicing, you said that you got into it because of your friends and you felt like you were talking to everybody and, you know, helping them cope. What do you feel like, well, my question is, like, what do you feel when you help those people? How do you feel when you help those people? You know what I'm saying? Like, is this kind of like when people go to the gym, that's like your gym time? Like, you know what I'm saying? Does it help you kind of, do you get happy? Like,
it's rewarding.
Yeah, rewarding.
Like that's the best. That's the best way that I could put it.
Rewarding.
Yeah, it's rewarding. It definitely feels nice to see people progress and know that you had a hand in that. And like I've had like clients text me middle of the week outside a session like, I just did this, and I'm like, I never would have did that, and this is such progress for me. Like, thank you so much for like all your work. I said, no, this is all of your work. Yeah. This is your work. Like I'm just putting certain tools and perspectives in front of you, but this is your work. And so situations like that is nice because sometimes an honest therapist thought is like you'll get somebody and it can feel like you don't know what you're doing with this person. And it's not to say that you're putting them in harm's way, but you may not have a clear, concise path about how to help that person. One of the hardest things I feel like is like hopeless people, right? So it's very hard to instill hope in somebody, even if they don't have a gut feeling that it's anything left there, it's really difficult to fight with that. And even people who are leaning towards a more suicidal piece of that,
they kind of
how do I tell you
they're numb to everything already?
Right, like, how do I tell you that your life is worth living? It's your life. I can't make like I could say that, but that's not gonna change how you feel if you wake up every day and you hate your life. You know, so I'm very honest with people about that. Like, we don't have all the answers. Like, we can just sit and hold space for people really well, which gets you started with helping somebody who may be hopeless or suicidal that they may not have anywhere else. Because that's a lot of what it is. I don't feel like I have the space to sit and tell people this without being judged, without them being overly concerned, about my well-being and understanding that, like, me as a therapist, people hear suicide as a regular person and you panic, right? Like, oh my God, I wouldn't want that. But it's like, as a therapist, you know that there are different levels to suicidality. You tell me you suicidal and I'm going to say, well, is it like you want to go jump off a bridge, or is it I wish I could go to sleep and I wake up? Because those are two different extremes. If I just feel like some days I wake up and I wish I didn't, and that's a little more passive. And
do you take each extreme with the same kind of precaution?
So, I mean, we assess in certain ways, but again, there are steps. So, have you thought about how you might do it? No, I ain't never thought about it. You ain't never thought about it. You ain't got that far into it yet. We even rated scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest. What would you say your suicidality is? Oh, it's a 4. Okay, we could work with a 4. I tell clients, when you get to a 7 or above, then we really sit down and build concern. But until then, it's a lot of people, and that's the thing, is not making it so stigmatized, because it's a lot of people who go through periods in their life who wish they could go to sleep and not wake up, or they just don't want to deal with life. I know I have them.
I feel like it's becoming more common now. Like,
right, but we don't make it okay to talk about, so people keep it to themselves, and they so scared. I even have to tell clients, like, especially if I know that they deal with depression symptoms, I have to, when we get to the suicide part, and they'll be like, oh, well, I used to have them, but I don't have them no more. And I'm like, well, in the event that you did have them, just know that I'm not getting ready to send you to a hospital just because you tell me that. Like, we're going to talk about, like, what that looks like for you. Do you have a plan? Do you have a method? What are your means to want to do this? Do you have access to those means? It's like somebody saying, like, oh, I've thought about, like, shooting myself, but they don't have no gun. Like, the means isn't there, but it creates a space. And so when I did that, she was like, well, actually, sometimes I do. I said, okay, so let's talk about that, but she wasn't even going to tell me, because again, there is this fear associated, and it's because of the stigma of what it means to talk about suicide. Right.
Let's hold that thought and adjust our camera.
The last thing we just said, you just wrapped up something.
Yeah, we wrapped up just removing the stigma of people being able to talk about not wanting to live it sometimes. Because I mean, we all have had that. Life ain't always great. Perfect, now. It's not. Shit.
Let me ask
social media
you this.
will make you think it is.
Oh, it do, yeah. Well, if you look on Facebook, everybody got a bag.
And
Everybody
that just reinforces those feelings that you behind or you stuck or you know, you can't keep up. And most of the time we trying to keep up with shit that don't even exist.
Oh, facts.
Yes.
Let me ask you this. As a therapist, do your friends kind of, I know it could be something that people go to. Is it something people fear as well? Like, you know, like, I don't want her to, you know, because you kind of already know what to expect with some people. So
like,
it's
I don't want her professionally dissecting me.
I don't want her.
Oh, no. My friends, they know that my therapist cap comes on if I'm getting paid.
Oh, okay.
Now, that's not to say that I think when therapists, we usually just have a certain way of thinking that we can't necessarily turn off. But I'm not sitting here like picking you apart. But I mean, if you wild out and you do some stuff, I could sit here and probably give you a theory as to like how you ended up doing that. You know what I mean? Or what type of headspace you're in that allow for you to be in certain situations. But I'm not just out here volunteering that information either.
Of course,
it's one of those things
you
where
keep
like,
it to yourself.
if you want to come talk about it and you want my opinion on it, then I can give that to you. But I'm not just out here like, girl, you need to go resolve that shit with your daddy because you out here dating niggas that's just like him, and I don't even know if you realize that. I'm not doing all of that. I like to keep my friends, and sometimes,
too.
you know, sometimes you just. It is one of them things where like, if my friend got like a shitty ass relationship and you want to keep talking, I'm gonna give you a few times and I'm gonna tell you you're gonna have to pay me because I'm not about to. I love you and like. We've already kind of walked through this, so
now we working.
I said like, you need me to vent or you need advice because I done gave you all the advice. If you just need me to listen, cool. But I'm gonna like be doing something while I'm listening. Like I need to use my time a little more productively than listen to you complain about the same thing.
Right. So I feel like on TV, movies, and shows, whatever, they show therapy as kind of like just the person getting to the solution themselves. So how much is you doing probing questions versus giving advice and things like that?
It's a little of both. Like I most of the time people be knowing what they want to do. Like they have or they know like certain shit is wrong and they doing it anyway.
Yeah,
like,
of course. People know right from wrong.
They know that. But they may feel like getting a professional's validation on it gives them the courage to confront it in situations like that, or the support or whatever. But it really varies client by client. Like if I can tell that this client may have a skewed vision or perspective due to things that they've experienced like trauma or anything, so they're not looking through the lens of like a very like logical or emotionally healthy standpoint, I'm more likely to give feedback and suggestions in that space versus like I have very functional clients and very self-aware clients who are like, yeah, I did this and this and I know why I did that. So now we're more so discussing the bits and pieces of what you don't understand or where you're stuck at as far as how to do better.
Like them people that say, I know I got a stank ass attitude, but I was mad.
Not them. Them I will put in the first category because like that's a little different. But I've had people like say, I understand that my issues in dating relate to the fact that like my father wasn't there or whatever. Like they can break that. I don't need they don't need like me to break that piece down. That's the first layer
everybody gets.
Yeah, they don't need me to break that piece down. Now it's like, okay, I'm noticing that I'm doing these behaviors and I'm not really sure how to not do that anymore, and that's what we can work with. But yeah, I like to. We usually use like a car analogy when we talk about therapy, and the therapeutic relationship is like you in that driver's seat, and I'm just sitting in the passenger seat, you know, and I'm like, okay, you doing good, like that's right, like ooh, I maybe would have turned the other way, but you know that moving forward now, right? Like, okay, you missed that turn. What did you learn from missing that turn? Like that's really how it looks.
Okay.
When it comes to, as you know, in your personal life, so like dating, is it an over analytical thing? Is it you breaking down like, okay, nigga, your dad sold drugs, nigga, and now you trying to come holler at me, and I know what you want, and you know what I'm saying, like.
So it's kind of the same way it is with my friends, where.
But I think it's more personal though.
I mean, a little bit, because if I'm thinking, so I'm gonna tell you how it is a little more personal. Because when you're dating and you're considering building a life with somebody, there are different attributes you look at. Some attributes that most women wouldn't think twice about, but because I am a therapist, there are certain things about you that you probably can't even control. Yeah. I'm taking note of those things still because they affect how you are, or they might affect how you are.
You might have more yellow flags. It may not be red flags, but more yellow flags. But I'm just like. Average woman.
It depends on how
extreme.
Yeah, how it is. So like, if a guy tells me, let's just say he has a poor relationship with his mother, it might be a flag. That's a yellow flag. I don't know if it's a green because I don't know how that affects you yet, because I don't know you well enough yet.
And he might be a very,
but it might be
person.
A red flag, because that may have left you with certain complexes depending on why that relationship is bad. You know what I mean? So it's little things like that.
And it could be the opposite too.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It could be a green where like it could not bother you at all, or it could be a red where it could show up in different things, and if it do, I'm gonna catch that and I'm gonna see that. You know?
Did you mean opposite, like being too close to mom? Like a mama's boy, like
no. I was saying
opposite, like she said.
Same red, yeah.
Okay. It could be red or green.
Or green, right, because he could be he don't talk to his mom because his mom's a certain individual.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And he wants a relationship.
Yeah.
So now instead he puts that energy into a relationship with
her. Yeah. So there are different factors that I'm gonna get to the bottom of to evaluate. But that's again, like, those are the things I think about. Where it's like another woman, she may not give a damn that you ain't got a relationship with your mama.
Yeah.
Or, it's just little things, or that you grew up a certain way, like you just have to, I know that certain experiences and characteristics can just further influence other behavior. Yeah. And so I have to be a little bit more weary of that and not just kind of push it to the side because it may come up.
Right.
All right. Are you dating? Are you single? Taken?
I'm single.
Okay.
Are men intimidated by your title, your professional title?
I don't know. I have a hard time dating just because I don't meet.
2020, 2021, there's not a lot of great candidates. It's a lot of trauma there.
With the level of like emotional intelligence.
Okay.
That I didn't realize until maybe about 5 to 10 years ago. Like there's a lack here. I'm not stimulated or engaged. I'm bored. I like the what you doing conversations don't entertain me. Like, and just being able to talk about certain things. Like so I have a YouTube channel too. Shout out to me. Keeping it a buck with me on YouTube. But anyway, I did a YouTube channel.
Put the card right.
Yes, I did a video on my YouTube channel, and we were talking about how men pretty much they can do whatever they want, right? Like women are more so, like there are more valuable selective quality black women than there are black men. Right. So the black men have like the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
So it's difficult,
right?
Because those men who have a good job can probably communicate a little bit, like maybe not stingy with their money.
Right, your requirement was only communicate a little bit. I just want to highlight that. Just a little bit.
No, because that's what I'm talking about, right? Like you can see a man and you think he all good on paper, and it's gonna be something like that, right, where that you have to teach or give a little bit into, you know what I mean? So it's not like he gonna come all put together. So something you
come up on music, Soul Child telling us the women teach me how to love.
He fucked up with that one. He fucked up with that one. He did. He definitely. Yeah, no, he definitely messed that up.
I feel like guys use and I think it's really immature men that will say this. Is like, I need a girl that's gonna help me build. I need a girl that's gonna build me up, or I need a girl that's gonna stick it through.
Stick through the bullshit.
When it gets through the bullshit, but I feel like It just whatever comes with your bullshit.
And let me tell you something. Niggas who openly and vocally and are very adamant about saying shit like that, they be the ones who don't have shit. Because right before this podcast, we was talking about how the fact that the men who have shit, they about they bag, they not thinking about adding a woman to that equation. Yeah. So that is also a disconnect because it's like, no, boo, like I can help you because I'm a certain caliber of woman. But a lot of men are like, I don't know. I feel like that's gonna knock me off my square. But it's like the bum ass niggas who don't even really be having shit, who been sitting on the same idea for the last 5 years and ain't did nothing about it. Who want to talk about they need somebody to build with them. No, you want somebody to babysit you.
Yeah, and that
hold your hand and walk you into
and walk you through it. Like, and that's why as black women who are like really successful, we have to be very careful about who we attach ourselves to. Because we looking at women like Mary J. Blige and Wendy Williams who were at the top of their shit and they got fucked over by some men that they invited to be into their life and to share their wealth. It's sick.
Don't get knocked off your rock for a bum ass nigga.
Yeah, you have to be. Yeah, you got to be clear about that because a man to think like I've had friends like I got some boss bitch ass friends and they've dated guys, but they feel like they start to feel like I think this nigga trying to compete with me. Like I think he's trying to one up me or whatever. I go get this. This nigga talking about he going to get this, and it's not that you don't want to see your partner level up, but like where was that energy before you got around me?
And some niggas do be insecure about their girls. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh damn, my girl got a new car. And you know what's funny as hell? My mom came home with a new Tahoe one time. You know what I'm saying? And literally, he's my ex-stepfather. He comes out, what the fuck? I promise you 2 days later, he went and turned his car in and got a new car. You know why? Because he wasn't working though. My mom was paying all the bills.
Right.
But Marty got a new car? Let me go get a new car so it makes it look like we both.
We both on that.
We both, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But it was that insecurity of being, you know what I'm saying? Because my mom works 3-4 jobs. She, she a boss ass bitch too. Right. You know what I'm saying? She, excuse my language, mother. But
we love you, mom.
She, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like men get intimidated by that. You know, nowadays it's some, and it's not great men. It's the ones that ain't got shit.
And it's one thing like I am comfortable. I don't need you to come in fucking shit up or not helping. Like you here, but you not helping. Like, so what do I need you for? Because again, it be lacking. The conversation, the mental capacity.
Just help.
What are
you ain't even requiring like come in and take over and run the house. Help. You need because I got it already. You need to be able. So if you're gonna be here, you're gonna help.
Right. Exactly.
And communicate. I feel like communication is probably the biggest disconnect in relationships.
Right.
Like I feel like me as a person, and they always say Capricorns, we this this and that, whatever. We don't know how to talk. So I feel like I expect people to understand me. Like, you should know what gets me mad, or you should know what gets me this or already. But in the end, I should really communicate that. Rather instead of holding it in or whatever the hell. I feel like a lot of people don't communicate.
Yeah, because a lot of us are still communicating as our childhood selves because of how
I was a very quiet person.
When you sit and look at like how you communicate, I tell people, look at how your parents communicate, whether they be with you, with each other, or with other people. What type of communicators are them? Because you likely have a communication style that mirrors that, or you got the aggressive side of their stuff, which has made you more passive, and you get aggressive in other spaces. But either way, you look at them as the blueprint. That's a lot of where your communication comes from until you start to gain a different awareness of like, ooh, I shut down because when I was a kid, my mama used to yell at me and I couldn't take it. So I was shut down. So I need to learn to tell my partner I don't respond well. I'm triggered by yelling. Yeah. So when you want to talk to me, XYZ, you know what I mean?
I think acknowledging and pointing out those triggers are key. I think people don't even realize, like, that word is just huge. Those triggers.
People misuse it a lot.
Like, it's a
people misuse it a lot too, though. Like, they don't understand that, like, everything isn't a trigger. Some things are just patterns. You're just used to responding that way. But you're not necessarily triggered to respond that way. So it's different.
Okay.
I could definitely see that. Even the part where you say like the parent communication, because I'm just quiet because everybody else in the house was loud.
Right. And you couldn't take that. Like, it just wasn't.
I'm just going to go to my room.
Exactly. And so, like, when you're in a relationship with somebody who maybe I'm a more expressive communicator. When I get passionate, I get loud. And so I have to be aware of that because I know that some men, like, they shut down at that. Whereas you got men who you get loud, they gonna get loud right with you. You know what I mean? Like, so you kind of have to understand like what's required, but also how to hear people, because on top of being able to say the right things, can you listen? Like, can you sit and not get defensive before a person even finishes their message? Like, you done heard the first 5 words and you already ready to pop off, and you didn't even let this person finish their statement, or you interjecting, you cutting them off every other word. Like, no, it's never gonna be a peaceful conversation. I talk to couples and like people about like fair fighting all the time, like how to have conflict but still like have a foundation of respect.
Is arguing good?
It can be. It's not terrible. It's about how you fight. Like, do you all argue in a fair manner? Like, arguments are going to happen, and that's the thing, is like, as much as you try to work on stuff, you may have moments where you get a little loud and you know you're not supposed to be doing that, or
disagreements. And I feel like perspective is is like the major thing when it comes to people arguing, and because you can live the same situation. I feel like I lived the same situation, and all 3 of my mom's kids react to them differently. But we all lived in the same house at the same time and went through the same struggles, right? Yeah. And I feel like it's the same thing in relationships. Like, we just had the same moment. Your perspective made you react this way, mine made me react this way. And that be the difference between like either seeing eye to eye or not.
Right. And it's the reactions, right, that people have people have an issue with. It's not that your feelings are wrong. Your feelings don't be wrong. Your feelings are not wrong. The feelings are valid. But if you respond to like, when you chose to respond or behave or react to the anger in a way that wasn't maybe conducive or appropriate for the situation, then that part is wrong. Right. So people get upset when it's like, y'all provoke me and y'all saying my reaction is wrong. And it's like, also, where does your self-control come in? You know what I mean? Like, when do you decide that I don't need to even be around or be in a space with people that pull that part out of me? Because now we just playing a blame game on why is the reason you got to that
you
point.
You have said this and done that.
Yes, exactly. So couples, y'all gotta learn how to call timeouts, how to walk away and come back, like how to write your thoughts down, something. Because the fighting of today is not okay.
I think people just have to take the time. Yeah, I think people.
Malcolm and Marie.
Yeah. Oh, have you seen that movie?
No.
See. Now you out the conversation, but like very telltale of like millennial arguing, right? But it was, a lot of people labeled it as toxic, and I did a whole breakdown on my YouTube channel about it. But
it was hard to watch. It was, and it wasn't. It
felt very familiar for a lot of people. Like, oh my God, this is like the representation of like my fights with my ex or whatever the case may be. But there were good and bad things about how they fought that made it, not okay. Name calling, you know what I mean? Like pulling out people's trauma and using it as a weapon, like things like that. Where if I was, like I said, I sat and analyzed it. We talking about, that's when we're stepping out of fighting fair.
Right.
And I think people do that because they don't have the power to, and it becomes like when it comes to physical abuse and mental abuse, people they physically can't hurt you. They're gonna say something that's really,
or can't even articulate their point.
Yeah, their point, and they're gonna say whatever they can possibly.
I'm just pissing you off because I'm mad.
Right. Exactly. It's nothing but projection.
Do you feel like everyone thinks they're a therapist now? Like, with Twitter. Ding, ding, ding. This struck a nerve. Right? But I feel like with memes and with everything that goes on, like the new generation of memes, I feel like people get their information from just the wrong sources, and they kind of analyze the wrong way. Yeah. They go, they go in the wrong direction already.
Yeah, probably on Twitter more than anything else, because it's mainly people talking. But like, everybody thinks that they just know it all about like psychology and some stuff. I'll be like, Y'all just be saying anything on here. Like one of the tweets that comes to mind that was floating around is like, did you know that your love language is representative of what you didn't get in childhood? And I'm like, that's not always true. That's not always true. That's not always true.
Probably was true for somebody.
Right. Exactly. Like correlation does not mean causation. Like, are there some people that will agree with that because they can identify with that? Yes. But there are a bunch of people who have love languages who, like, for myself, when I took the test, I scored evenly on 4 out of the 5 categories because words of affirmation, physical touch, gifts, acts of service, and quality time.
That's what it was. Yeah.
The reason I scored evenly on 4 of them is because in my household, I grew up mainly receiving all 4 of those. Now, I grew up receiving all 5 of those, but my family isn't very touchy-feely. Like, we hug on occasion, but that's why physical touch is my last love language out of the other 4. So, for me, my love languages are representative of what I got in childhood, not what I lacked.
Yeah.
Right.
So, it's not a foolproof system. Right. So, it's not a foolproof system.
I would say mine's the same way. It's funny though because we were very touchy-feely as kids, and then as we got older, like my girlfriend hugs my sister more than I do. She hugs my mom more than I do, and you can't tell me nothing about my mama. You know what I'm saying? And what was I going with that?
That is just different. It's different.
Me with her, like we can't be 3 feet from each other without touching.
Oh, you know okay, yeah. So it's different. You translated that love into a romantic one.
Okay,
like I'm gonna have my hand on her thigh if she's sitting next to me.
Oh, yeah. And that's where I run into a problem because a lot of men have physical touch. It's like they number one, and I'd be like,
right. But I'm also like, I feel like I'm also like very giving. So if I know that, I don't know if I can fully say I'm not going to, but like. Gifts, I don't expect nothing because like growing up we didn't have much. Yeah. So my girlfriend always wants a cake, always wants a birthday present. She don't really hold me to the birthday present stuff, but she wants a cake. Yeah. Because they do that. Yeah. She wants a cake for her birthday. And she want to give me one too. I'm like, chill.
Nope, let us celebrate you. Let her reignite that flame that was dim during childhood.
We was at Chuck E. Cheese though.
Okay, period.
But I'm just like, I'm good on the cake and the presents. Like Christmas was great, and then around like 10, it just came $100. Like, here you go get something. Okay. They're like, okay, you Santa Claus, you said.
It's weird when I kind of like break down mine because what are the 5 love languages? And my girlfriend tells me to read this shit, take the test all the time.
It's interesting.
What you waiting on?
And I think I'm scared.
Girlfriend, get him together. Hey, make him sit down and take it in front of you.
I think I'm scared of what they're gonna tell me, but then I'm not scared of what they're gonna tell me. Kind of what I already think I know.
Right. Okay, you know I mean, usually what you think your love languages are, they most likely are. Okay. You know, so it's but you might as well take the test to get confirmation.
I think I need to get.
And all it's really gonna do, because I read for anybody that doesn't know, the book is by Gary Chapman. It was originally made for married couples, and then he's come out with a few different versions. So I've read the singles version, and it's really good at just pretty much telling you how you can find out what, like, either the other people in your life, so like family, like what their languages are, and then understanding voids that you may have had during childhood and adolescence where you felt like you weren't receiving something, and now it may be the case that you search for that, and it's because, or you still look for that, you know, in those parental or those familial relationships, because that's what it is for you, regardless of like maybe how other people showed you love.
It is weird with me because I feel like I was raised in so many different households. You know, my family, my mom and my dad, but then I'm staying over at my friend's house for the majority of the time for years, and then going to my other, like, I was never really home, and then even when I met him, high school, I'm never really home, so I feel like that kind of created that disconnect with my mom. Like, I don't talk to her every day. My mom was really, like, off of us by the time you came around, too. Yeah, so like, it was like, we had kind of like no, so I feel like that's where the disconnect is with me and my mom, and also, like, when my brothers and sister came along, it kind of like took the attention away from Adrian You know what I'm saying? Like being the oldest is like, oh, he knows what he's doing.
He got it together. I don't have to worry about him.
I don't have to worry about him. He does his homework. He does this. You don't even need to teach him to do his homework. My brother and sister, they need help with their homework.
You got to stay on top
of
it.
it.
The younger siblings, you got to stay on top of it.
I'm the baby, and I'm just, I ain't got to worry about him. He be at school, he don't even talk. Teacher's like, can you get him to talk?
I was really quiet until you met me. You know what I'm saying? And then I kind of had a personality. Like my best friend would be like, he's funny as hell, but nobody will know until I, get into a space where I feel comfortable.
Every time I get a new job, they be like, hey, Percy don't say much, but when he do, you better be listening.
You better listen.
See, but now as a child, I feel like I'm two different people now because I kind of broke that that shell of me being such a little quiet, and I was a small child, so it kind of just I was always not scared, but just scared to speak, and then I got
scared. My mom would tell me get on the phone with my aunts and uncles. I'm See, I don't want to.
And what people don't realize is like sometimes you notice that you have like these weird like quirks about yourself or like these awkward moments that you just dread and you just don't know like how the hell you got that way. Like some people can't really take secondhand embarrassment and it don't have nothing to do with them, but it's just so overwhelming for them to watch somebody else be embarrassed. And I'm like, it's somewhere down the lane. You that came up for you, or that, like you said, like that weird anxiety of having to like talk to family members and like.
I think it was more the phone because it really took me getting into real estate and making phone calls all the time, where it's just like sitting on the phone waiting for it to ring and just waiting for them to answer. It's just like
hang up.
I don't even want to call these people.
Right. And it's like, where do we get that anxiety from? Like.
I didn't have a phone.
It's we all have those very like odd quirks where it's like I don't even know why I do that, but like collectively when we all get out of a car and we beep it, you walk a few more feet, you gonna beep it again because you just worried like we just concerned.
Station, you know it's pump one. You done look 6 times.
Right.
You still gotta look.
You like, go for the register. Look to the door again and you look just to reassure yourself.
It's so true.
Right?
So
all
true.
the time.
Exactly. To make sure you're not, and it's anxiety driven. We all have like very strange ways that anxiety shows.
How would you say?
Let's pause hold that question, pause one time and get the camera.
And everything like that. Who is one person that you look up to as, just motivation or inspired you to be, the queen that you're, molding yourself to be and working to be and you are now today?
To keep it simple, I'm gonna say my mom, and that's just because she has really just been there. Like every time I doubted myself, like, and then I think growing up, we have these very like hero idealistic visions of our parents, and then as we become more of an adult, we start to see them for like who they really are as like people, right?
I think we become more passionate.
Like you start to understand why your parents are the way that they are. Like you can peep other things from their experience or their upbringing or the way your grandparents or your uncles and aunts interact with them. You start to have just a different understanding of them. And I think me and my mom, the older I got, she got to a point where she got real with me as I was going through certain life experiences, stuff that I'm sure she felt like she wouldn't tell nobody. She tells me because she wants me to understand the implications of what I'm going through. And it's different. Like with my dad, I kind of have that, but with her, I know her. My parents are still together. They're still married. Nice. Like I grew up in the home with both of them. I feel like I know my mama, like to the point where like that's my best friend. Yeah, like that's great. But it's it's different with my dad, and so because of that, we just have a different bond, a different attachment. But I feel like whenever I've been at my lowest, even if she didn't know exactly what to do, like she just continuously spoke life into me. My mama is the only person who can know when I'm lying about being okay, which most people don't read through on me. But like if she asks, I'm breaking down. Like I'm falling into her arms. Like, no, I'm not okay. Like, and so just being able to, I think the older I've gotten, the more I realize that everybody don't have that with their moms. So it just makes me more appreciative of having that space of, knowing that I'm becoming everything she hoped that I would be when she had me. So that part is always just really special to me.
You plan on having kids, family, married?
If we could get a ring on this finger, you know, I've sat with the idea of like that stuff never happening for me, but I would like that to happen. So yeah, if it was in my cards, I would want it.
Okay. So guys, get y'all shit together. Meet her at the top. What else? Match the bag, match the vibes.
Help. Communicate a little bit.
Communicate. Do all the good things. And I feel like just in whatever you do, just be yourself. You know what I'm saying? People get caught in this trying to be other people and live a different life that they're not, you know, meant to live, or whatever the case may be. Just be true to yourself, man. Live every day as yourself. Like it's the last, I would say.
And on the therapy side, for anybody that is interested, I am still accepting new clients. As far as how to get in touch with me, you can follow my business Instagram, which is Be The Change TS, BECHANGETS on Instagram. I also have a Facebook page, which is just Be The Change Therapeutic Services. Any personal inquiries, for any fine men watching, I'm just playing. My personal Instagram is Bring It Brat at BRINGBRAT_. But yes, I am still accepting clients. So feel free to either find me on Facebook at that Be The Change Therapeutic Services, or on Instagram. You can message me, DM me. My website is attached, and we can get started.
Beautiful.
All right. On that note, I appreciate you for coming out, man.
Thank you for having me.
We had a great time. Hope you have a great, safe ride home. I hope 2021 gives you nothing but more blessings.
Thank you.
And I hope you find the man of your dreams as well.
Period. He's coming this year. We claiming that.
And I hope you know, more wealth as well. And on that note, we out.
Peace.